Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in. We have a very exciting bike in front of us. We've spent some time over the last couple weeks with it. This is the Ariel Rider X-Class 60 volt in the Performance Edition variant. Guys, this is a fantastic bike. I know it took a while for us to get updated Ariel Rider bikes, but this is certainly worth the wait. So we're going to go over some of the specs and features of the Ariel Rider X-Class 60 volt Performance Edition, and then take it out on a ride and give you our riding impressions. Now, if you're interested in this bike, at the end of the video, you can use our code EASYHEIMER to save an extra $50 on this bike. So first things first, I know a lot of people had some issues with having to unlock the bike every time you turn it off and then turn it back on again. So that has been remedied, and we'll show you real quick. There is a button on the battery and also a power button for the whole bike. Click that. You see the battery went on. We're going to power on the bike, and we'll put it to pedal assist level 1. And so guys, we got it up to 63.1 miles per hour from turning it on, from being off. So obviously this bike can be unlocked permanently by using the Bike Go Plus app. There is a really nice video out there, and we'll link it in the description below, so you can follow those steps and unlock your bike permanently as well. All right, so this bike comes in at $27.99. This is a phenomenal value. You get 2 batteries, so 35 amp hours. The top one is a 15 amp hour battery, and the bottom one is a 20 amp hour battery. And of course, these are 60 volts. These are a bit heavier than normal, just because they are potted with fire retardant resin, so these will keep the water and stuff out too, but very safe batteries. Really nice to see that Ariel Rider is focusing on safety, especially with the batteries. So fully potted, so everything is going to be contained in that battery if anything does happen. But they use high quality cells, so you shouldn't really have to worry about any safety issues with the batteries in the first place. Now, this bike is on the heavier side at 116 pounds with both batteries on it. So that's one of the downsides with this bike. It is on the heavier side. Just keep in mind these batteries are both removable, so you can move the bike around, transport it, and things like that without the battery on it. So that takes quite a bit of the weight off. But honestly, I would take range over being a little bit heavier any day of the week. Now, with the combined 35 amp hours, you can get over 100 miles of range with this bike. Now, obviously, that's with the lowest power assist level, but this is capable of getting you over 100 plus miles of range on a single charge. So rider weight, terrain, hills, things like that will factor in as well. So keep that in mind. Usually these tests are performed on flat ground with a really light rider. Now, speaking of weight, this bike will be able to handle riders up to 320 pounds. So really good weight capacity. And guys, even on the heavier side at 260, this thing performed really well. We were shocked how much torque, how much power this thing has. And we're going to go over what gives it that torque and power in just a second. Now, the craftsmanship on this bike is phenomenal. The paint is absolutely gorgeous. I don't think I've seen a better paint job on one of these bikes. This is just really fantastic looking. The welds are very professional, really, really nice and clean. Now, what powers this bike and gives it all the torque and speed is a 750 watt motor. And guys, yes, this is a 750 watt motor, but this thing feels like 3,000 watts. This thing is super powerful. I'm not really sure how they did it with a 750 watt motor, but this thing is phenomenal. You get 132 Newton meters of torque. So this thing will destroy other bikes in its class, and we'll have comparison videos coming up shortly to show you guys how this bike compares to other bikes on the market that will directly compete with this bike. You do have 4 piston hydraulic disc brakes on here, so obviously going speeds that it does, and we've got this thing up to 47 miles per hour so far, and that was with like a 70% charge. This thing will stop very well, basically on a dime. They have 203 millimeter rotors, so these things are beefy, Another fantastic improvement on this new X-Class is the tires. These are Innova puncture-resistant tires. The rear is a 20 by 5-inch fat tire, and the front is a 20 by 4.5-inch fat tire. They make the ride really smooth, and we've taken it on a bunch of different terrain, in the trails, off-roading, things like that, and these perform really, really well. Yeah, so I think one of the biggest pain points of the first generation of the X-Class was the tires. So really nice to see some high quality tires on here that perform very well. You also get plastic fenders, which we do love, and these have good coverage. These won't shake and rattle like metal fenders will. Another fantastic upgrade with the new X-Class 60 volt is the suspension. On this Performance Edition, you get an 80mm travel FASTACE rear suspension, which is fully adjustable. Really nice to see that, and this feels really, really good. You do have a lot of mounting points on here, which I would imagine we're going to see a lot of cool accessories come from Ariel Rider. So really excited to see what they release for this bike. Now the seat is absolutely fantastic. This is another huge upgrade from the original Ariel Rider X-Class. Really comfortable. It's a little higher from the ground up at 34.5 inches. It does require a 27-inch inseam as well. So guys, when you're looking for a bike, make sure that this is going to fit you before you order it. So there are all your measurements that you need. But guys, fantastic quality seat with your Ariel Rider new logo on the back. I love this new logo. You also have a working brake and taillight along with your rear turn signals. Now with the first version of the X-Class, you got a 7-speed Shimano shifter. This only comes with 1 speed. So no gears on here, which I definitely understand, especially with this bike being more electric moped. You really don't need all the gears because nobody's really going to be pedaling this. Now, as far as the crankset goes, you get a fairly large crank wheel. The crank arms are pretty long. We have not had any scraping while we're out riding, around turns, things like that. So really nice to see that they kind of figured out the perfect size for the crankset. And this is surprisingly comfortable to pedal. I think we started ghost pedaling around 30 miles an hour. So that is pretty good, especially if you're something with just 1 speed. Now, again, we showed you in the beginning of the video, but you do have a whole bike power button. So this will turn off everything. So if this isn't on, if this isn't pressed in, the bike cannot be turned on. And this comes in handy, especially to protect the bike from any short circuiting when you're taking off and putting the battery back on. And you also have a power button on the top battery as well. Now with the Performance Edition, you get a really nice front fork with 100mm of travel. And guys, this is a huge upgrade from the old version and also better than most, if not all, the competition on the market as we speak. One of my absolute favorite parts of this Performance Edition is the headlight enclosure with this really nice headlight with the halo around it. You also have a low and a high beam, as well as turn signals built into that housing. And these are super bright. Get a really cool front-looking fender as well. This is a huge upgrade, especially when it comes to looks. All right, so sitting on the bike, really comfortable. It's definitely a little higher than the last version, but loving that, especially at 6'2". And what we're gonna do is we'll turn on the screen first by holding down the power button. And here you go, you get a really nice colorful display. We're a little concerned as we've seen this display on a couple other bikes that we've reviewed, and it's really hard to see in the sun. It's very difficult to read when you have a lot of glare. All right, so starting on the left-hand side of the handlebars and working our way all the way to the right, you have your locking faux leather grips, which are really nice. And these are kind of a signature of Ariel Rider. You do get some really nice Ariel Rider branded bar ends, which is cool. The headlight turns on by this button here. So you click on that, and it does have a very bright headlight. And you can kind of see that halo in the reflection of my truck, but we'll see that in just a second up close. You can turn on your high beam by flicking this switch up. There you go. Like we said, very bright, very easy to see at night. You do have turn signals. So there is your left and there is your right turn signal. And again, we'll see that up close in just a second. There's your horn. Guys, that scares me every single time. That is a real horn. I've never heard a horn that loud on any e-bike before. So really nice to see that. That's been one of our complaints with any e-bike on the market, is the horn is just not loud enough, especially on a bike that's silent. You need something that is loud enough. And guys, this thing is super loud. It's almost too loud. Of course, you have your plus and minus for your pedal assist levels. That goes all the way up to 5 and all the way down to 0 for 0 pedal assist. Now again, this is your power button, and it also has a couple of functions. So if you click it once, you can see your top speed that you've reached. You can see your average speed and back to speedometer. You double click and go into the menu, go into your P settings. So really cool to see that. Now moving over to the right-hand side, you have your right brake lever. And I believe we forgot our left brake lever on the left-hand side. So there is your left brake lever. You have your half full leather grip, locking, as well as your half twist throttle. Now let's take a look at the screen. We do love the indicator letting you know that the headlight is on. So if you turn that off, that will go off. There's a little delay, but really cool that it shows you that your headlight is on. And also if you flick the high beam on, it does show that your high beam is on by this little indicator here that's blue. So kind of similar to like it is in your car. This is kind of like an animation. It doesn't really do much. I thought maybe it was like your power level or whatever, but this really does nothing. It goes through a bunch of different little animations. So would have loved to see more of a function with these bars here. Your speedometer is right here in the middle in miles per hour. Your pedal assist level right here. And as we saw, that goes all the way up to 5 and all the way down to 0. Here's your battery bar. You have your tripometer here. And you can actually switch to your odometer by going all the way through these menu options with the power button. And there is your odometer. So kind of weird how you have to go through all the clicks to get to odometer and then switch to tripometer and then back again, but whatever. All right, so we're going to show you the headlight, the halo, and also the turn signals real quick. So if you look back here, really bright turn signal with your brake and tail light. If you see, if I squeeze this, it does light up for your brake. If you look in the front, and again, this is my favorite part of this bike. Guys, those turn signals are super bright, and it actually blinks faster up here than it does in the rear. I'm not sure if that's supposed to do that, but these are super bright. And you also get the halo and your high beam and low beam. Well, there's your high beam, and then there is your daytime running halo, which is really, really cool. Honestly, this is my favorite headlight housing out of all the bikes I've ever reviewed. This thing is really sharp looking, really fantastic job that they did with this bike. Now, one other thing to note is, again, like we mentioned before, this bike does have app support with the Bike Go Plus app. But guys, there are the specs and features of the Ariel Rider X-Class 60 volt. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. We get back to everybody. So let's take this thing out and show you guys how it performs. All right, we're on the Ariel Rider X-Class 60 volt Performance Edition. And right off the bat, we're gonna do a brake test here at the storm drain. Okay, I don't wanna lock them up too much, but I mean, we were going pretty fast. These brakes are amazing. 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes with 203 millimeter rotors. Do a fantastic job of stopping this bike. We are really comfortable on this bike, especially being a little taller than the previous version. At 34.5 inches from the ground to the seat, it fits us like a glove. Loving the gas tank style battery on the top here with the dual setup that you get on the Performance Edition. But guys, for just $27.99, guys, this bike really cannot be beat. We're gonna do a top speed test here and see what we can get up to. All right, so we hit just under 45 miles per hour. So really impressive. They don't list the top speed on their website. So you really had no idea going into it how fast this thing was going to go. And again, you have a 750 watt motor in the rear that performs like a 3,000 watt motor that we've seen. So the performance on here is really good. We have our pedal all the way down to the ground when we were going around that turn and we didn't scrape. So that's really good to see. A lot of these bikes that come with longer crank arms and also the bigger crank wheel, they tend to scrape on the ground going around a turn, and that is extremely unsafe. And it also scares the crap out of you when it does scrape. So we're gonna pedal. Yeah, so we start post pedaling a little over 30 miles an hour, and that's with the 1 gear setup. So you no longer have those 7-speed Shimano's on the X-Class, but pedaling is not uncomfortable. If you look at my legs, I'm not like kicking myself in the chest. Especially being a taller guy at 6'2", sometimes I do pedal these bikes. I actually pedal them more than you would think. Now, as far as the display goes, I can still see it. It's a cloudy day, so we're gonna have to take this thing out in direct sunlight and just see how that display does. But again, we've seen this display on other bikes, and it is nearly impossible to read what's on the screen. Now, I'm not sure if you guys can hear that, but there is like a noise coming from the brake. So the left brake is making that noise, but that's pretty normal. I've seen that on a lot of the bikes that I've ridden, so I don't think it's an issue. And that might wear over time and the noise will probably go away. That's what I'm guessing. As far as the throttle goes, the throttle is instant, so there is no real delay when you twist the throttle. Let's see. Twist. Yeah, I mean, that is pretty instant, which is really nice to see. Now, as far as pedaling goes, pedaling is pretty instant as well. I mean, that is pretty impressive. Normally, when you start pedaling a lot of these bikes, yeah, my God, look at, yeah. So normally, a lot of these bikes, especially the ones that have cadence sensors like this one does, it takes sometimes even 2 seconds to get that power when you start pedaling. This thing is instant. So that is really good to see. You just want to know what to expect when you're on your bike. So if you want to pedal, you obviously want to know when you start pedaling that you're going to get that power. So when you're waiting for a delay, and some of these bikes are all over the place as far as delay goes, it's hard to really know when to expect that power and when it's coming on. So yeah, this thing is instant. Love to see that. We're gonna take it off-roading here and just see how it does. Go down our pretty difficult hill here. The suspension is doing really good. Wow. That did fantastic. And we are hearing reports that people are getting noise in the front fork there with the suspension, but we didn't get any of that. And I haven't experienced that for the last couple weeks that I've had the bike. Oh God, guys, this thing is sick. My God, dude. Yeah, so me personally, I haven't seen any issues with the suspension, rear or front. It's really, really nice. Yeah, I'm absolutely loving this. So the original X-Class, it was a little tough. I'm going to be honest, the suspension was tough on there. I love that bike, but the suspension just, you could feel the bumps. I mean, it was a rough ride. This one, I mean, I'm barely feeling any of the rocks, bumps, whatever it may be. I just feel really, really comfortable on this bike. with control. And you know, a lot of these bikes you buy, it just feels like, sometimes it feels like you can't control them. And this one, I feel right at home. It feels like I can tackle any path, any terrain with confidence. I mean, look at me. I'm cruising through this path, which I'm normally kind of cautious with other bikes. And the suspension, I'm telling you, that suspension is fantastic. And again, guys, with any product, especially any new product on the market, there's obviously going to be some bikes that have some issues and defects and stuff, but dude, I'm not seeing any of those on here. This is the bike I've been using to commute to work, to commute around town, to go get some light groceries, things like that. And I really have not found any glaring issues with the bike. I mean, besides the fact that maybe that screen is hard to read. And I can't really show you in this video because it is cloudy. So it's kind of a little darker on the dark sides. But when that glare takes over that screen, it is difficult to see. So, you know, a lot of times too, they give you like a shield that goes over it, like a shade. And sometimes you got to put your hand over it just to see what's going on. But I mean, super nimble. And I actually think the fact that it has dual batteries makes a weight ratio perfect. You know, you don't have too much weight up top. You don't have too much weight down low. Really well balanced as far as the weight goes. Love the riser handlebars. You can also adjust your compression on your front fork. The controls are so much better than the old bike. I mean, I am absolutely loving this thing. This blows Super 73 out of the water. It's not even close. I thought GOAT Power Bikes was the GOAT. This thing is so much more comfortable, so much better in my opinion, especially when it comes to the suspension. And I really think the torque is better too, especially having that geared hub motor makes a huge difference over something with a direct drive motor that really doesn't have the torque, but you can go, you know, to the top speeds that maybe I'm going on here. I would have to say on the GOAT, I'm probably seeing around 41, 42 miles per hour. I'm hitting, you know, close to 45 on here. So this thing definitely does have a higher top speed, and someone that weighs a lot less than I do is going to see even more top speed than me. So keep that in mind, guys. This thing is the new kid on the block. Absolutely amazing. And guys, your handlebars are direct mount. Fantastic. So we're going to do a hill climb test with the Ariel Rider X-Class 60 volt Performance Edition. We're in pedal assist level 5, but we're going to use throttle only on this hill and see how it does. Here we go. So guys, a lot of torque, a lot of power going up the hill. We're still climbing at 20 miles per hour. Well, 21.8 miles per hour up that hill. Fantastic. A lot of times I forget that I even have turn signals on here, and they are super bright. Even that bump back there, dude, I did not feel a thing. The suspension is just so good on here. The competition needs to watch out because Ariel Rider is coming for you. All right, guys, so there is the Ariel Rider X-Class 60 volt in the Performance Edition variant. How sexy that thing looks. They did a fantastic job with this bike. Love the fact that it comes with dual batteries right out of the box for $27.99. And again, I could save you an extra $50 by using code EASYHEIMER. 2 batteries, 35 amp hours for over 100 miles of range on a single charge. Fantastic. I mean, who else is doing that? There is no competitor that has a quality bike like this for that price with 2 batteries. 132 Newton meters of torque. This thing is a beast. And with a 750 watt motor. Guys, how does that even happen? How is that even a thing? And it feels like, you know, motors that we've had that were 3,000 watts. Single gear, fantastically crafted seat, the Ariel Rider logo on it. It just feels really good. The frame, look at those perfect welds. You have rear signals, front signals, rear brake light and tail light, your front signals in that housing with the daytime running light, that little halo. I mean, the attention to detail on this bike is fantastic. Love the fender, really cool design. Definitely different than anything else we've seen. Love the suspension on here. The front fork with 100 millimeters of travel. Fantastic job of taking the brunt of all the bumps, the rocks, things like that. You saw we threw it on the trail and it handled like the rocks and the hills and stuff really well. No weird noises coming from the bike with those dual hydraulic disc brakes, 4-piston with the 203 millimeter rotors. Controls are very nice. You have your direct mount for your handlebars. And if you look at the screen, it's actually raining right now, but see the glare? It's kind of making it hard to read the screen, kind of like washed out. So that's one thing that can improve with this bike. That's honestly the biggest thing. See the indicator for the turn signal, which we'd love to see. The FASTACE, rear suspension, 80 millimeters of travel, fully adjustable. Those Innova puncture resistant tires, you know, thick 5-inch tire on the back, 4.5-inch tire on the front. Guys, fantastic bike. We really can't be any happier to have this bike and finally seeing Ariel Rider putting new models on the market. Definitely worth the wait. Now, if you guys have any ideas of what you want to see for accessories with all the mounting points on this bike, let us know in the comment section below, and we'll see if we can make that happen with Ariel Rider. I'm sure they're listening for early feedback with these bikes so they can make your experience even better. Also, let us know what other videos or tests you want to see with this bike, and we can get those done for you. We plan on keeping this bike around for a long time to come. This is going to be our main daily commuter. And last but not least, don't forget to use our code EASYHEIMER to save an extra $50 on any Ariel Rider X-Class on their website. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We appreciate you. And until next time, peace out.